Okay, day 7 of Storytime with Robert Williams. We have Marvel's Rangers shielding from Danger 2, part 2. Nice. A figure hovered in the darkness above when the soldier. The lights in the hallway of the shield facility had been damaged, causing a flicker that made it hard to see Bucky steeled himself for battle. Then the man swooped down into the light, his boots padding silently against the floor as he landed. "We need to move fast," said Falcon, leaving the shadows behind. "This way," said Falcon. He sprinted towards the stairway. Without hesitation, Bucky followed, as they raced to the laboratory one floor up. Falcon filled Bucky in on what had happened. The winged hero felt like he was missing something important. Falcon had been flying home earlier that evening, ready to turn in. It had been a particularly tiring night of patrol, and Sam Wilson was doing his best to relax and enjoy the rest of the night. Was Falcon flying? That's when he saw the dark cloud moving towards him. At first, Falcon couldn't understand what he was seeing. The cloud was swirling and swaying as if it was pulsing with life. As he flew closer, Falcon realized it wasn't a cloud at all. It was a swarm of bats. Falcon biting the bats. Falcon did his best to use his wings as a shield against the sudden swarm. Fortunately, the bats weren't all that interested in him. They seemed to have another target in mind. Falcon watched to see where they were heading. As if with a single mind, the bats flew towards the nearby construction site. As he closed in on the bats, Falcon could see they were flying straight towards a lift at the centre of the abandoned site. The doors to the lift shaft were open, as if it was expecting the winged creatures. Falcon clenched his jaw and flew faster. He swooped into the entry lift shaft after the bats. The doors were closing, but Falcon managed to make it through before they slammed shut. Falcon flying with the bats. Falcon recognized the high-tech cameras in the hallway right away. This was a shield base. The hallway stretched out in front of the hero. Falcon could see the flutter of wings near its end and what seemed to be a light of an open door. He hadn't taken more than a few steps towards two bat-shaped throwing stars shot into his wings. Falcon had no time to react. Suddenly, a much larger bat was heading straight for him. Falcon moved away. As Falcon bent backwards to dodge the speeding bat, he realized what he actually was facing. It was a glider, one used by a villain he and Captain America had faced many times in the past. A criminal who had just happened to be able to control bats. "Black wings," Sam said as the villain's glider crashed into the wall behind him. Blackwing reached into his cape and pulled out a battle baton. Without another word, he charged at the hero. His bats leading the way, Falcon took to the air. There wasn't much room to move around in the tight corridor, but it wasn't in the mood for anything fancy. Anyway, Falcon simply flew directly at Blackwing. Blackwing. Very original name. Falcon pierced the cloud of bats like a javelin, hurtling towards its target. Blackwing's eyes widened as he saw the bullet of a man heading straight for him. The villain tried to dodge the hero, but it was too late. Blackwing was knocked backwards through the open doorway at the end of the hall and into a glass countertop in a high-tech shield laboratory. Blackwing lay on the ground in a pile of broken computer components. He tried to speak, but let out a painful groan instead. Then he fell completely unconscious. Simply fighting. And this is why I left him, Falcon said. He and Winter Shoulder had just burst into the same shield laboratory on Sub-Basement 2. "You were talking over your comlink earlier about a force-field projector," said Falcon. "I've seen prototypes before, but this guy didn't have anything like that on him." He nodded at Blackwing lying in a heap in the middle of the room. "The only thing that stood out to me was the empty safe." "So Jacqueline and Blackwing," said Winter Shoulder. "They were just cover?" He bent down and picked up Blackwing's battle baton. "That's what I was thinking," said Falcon. "Low-level henchmen to keep us busy." There's the Falcon and Bucky coming into the lab. Over there, he pointed to a lone bat flapping in the corner of the lab. The confused creature flew into the hallway, but in the opposite direction of the lift shaft. I think there's another way out of here, said Falcon. Falcon leapt into the air, and Winter Soldier raced after him. They followed the bat into a long, empty tunnel. Near the end of the tunnel stood a figure dressed in orange and blue. Falcon instantly recognized him. It was Taskmaster. He was a villain more dangerous than Blackman and Jack-o'-lantern combined. In one hand, Taskmaster clenched his shield. In the other, he had a small device around about the size of a remote control. Falcon realized that the device Taskmaster was holding was Shield's missing force field projector. Then running after the bat and then Taskmaster. "No, I should have hired more guys," said Taskmaster, without taking his eyes off the villain. Falcon spoke to Winter Soldier under his breath. "Go for the button." Winter Soldier narrowed his eyes. He had worked with Falcon enough times to know exactly what he meant. As Taskmaster readied his shield to hurl at the heroes, Winter Soldier threw Blackwing's baton. Winter Soldier had always been an expert marksman. This throw was no exception. Blackwing's battle baton hit the button on the projector, just as Falcon flew full speed at Taskmaster. Bucky went low while Falcon went high. Taskmaster didn't think twice. He simply launched the shield at the oncoming Falcon. What Taskmaster did not realize was that the force field trajectory had been switched on. The shield ricocheted off the protective energy field, and bounced right back at him. He hit himself with the shield. Nice. The blast stunned the villain just as Falcon tackled him off his feet. The force field projector fell out of Taskmaster's hand and slid across the floor. The projector came to a stop at Captain America's feet. "Guess you didn't need my help," said Cap. As he picked up the device, he pressed the main button on the projector. The force field around Taskmaster instantly shut down. Getting hit by the shield. The villain put his gun on the floor and raised his hand in a gesture of surrender. The heroes pulled Taskmaster to his feet and began walking him back towards the shield base. It had been an interesting night after all. Cap, Bucky, Falcon, and Taskmaster.